Guys, I told you not to say anything. Sit there. This is Real Talk with Jared, not her. Okay? Last video we talked about personal programming for extra work or substitution work for your goals for the course of NoBread. This time we're going to go over your food plan or kind of meal planning for yourself and the basics or how to. So we talk about this at each NoBread talk, but we're going to go into a little bit more detail right now. This doesn't matter if you're doing NoBread or macros, and I'll explain that here in a little bit, but it basically comes down to the foods that you want to eat. So dieting sucks. It normally is a subtraction of stuff as opposed to consuming the stuff that you want to eat. So based off of that, we're gonna make a food plan. Let's just talk about NoBread first. So our food plan, NoBread or macros, which is just protein, fat, and carbohydrate breakdown. More on that later. What we need to do here is work out a balanced diet or a balanced food plan of protein, veggies, and fruit and fats. So this is going to be just our big blanket grocery list of foods that you want to eat. So under protein, we got some different protein sources: cottage cheese, protein bars and shakes, eggs, meat, peanut butter. Google protein and write down everything that's on that list. It can be fish, it can be whatever, doesn't matter. Just get a huge list of this stuff. For veggies, there's Brussels sprouts, there's broccoli, there's carrots, there's asparagus, there's sweet potatoes, there's kale. Go to the grocery store, look at the produce section. Okay, there's a bunch of them there. Next thing, fruits, apples, grapefruits if you're Giorgio. He says that's why he's so awesome. Shh.
I'm nervous that your text is all gonna be
Mango, berries. It doesn't necessarily matter what your fruit is. Just make sure that you like to eat the fruit. That's the only reason why it'd be on the list. If you don't like one of those things, don't put it on there. Your list of vegetables could be broccoli. That's it. It could just be broccoli. I don't like vegetables either. Okay, and then a list of fats: almonds, avocados, butter, oil, bacon, sausage. Right, higher fat than anything else in the food itself. But again, you can pick whatever that you want for these things. So we have our protein. We're gonna label these carbs, if you will, and then our source of fat. What we're gonna be looking for is trying to get obviously one at least, but 2 or 3 other options per meal that we pick out. The way to make this as simple as possible is to come up with a couple staple meals for yourself. And the big question that we get asked is like, what do you eat? What I eat is really up for me. It's kind of gross, but it works. So for breakfast, what I'm going to ask you to do is try to pick 1 to 3 meal options. So for me, my breakfast consists of a protein bar and chicken jerky. It's not gross. It's food, right? I know that's gonna be a huge source of protein. It's one of the harder things for me to get in throughout the day, but if I eat my protein bar and eat my jerky, I know I'm gonna get, I'm setting myself up for success that day because protein is one of the harder ones to eat. So that's my breakfast option. I normally have a coffee with that, right? Some of you guys have eggs and bacon. There's other people that make smaller omelets, so they do have that protein, that veggie, or you can eat just leftovers from the next day, and that can be a list of everything there. So if on your list of the breakfast items that you eat, maybe you use this template as, I'm gonna have a protein bar and jerky as my days that I don't have a whole lot of time before. Maybe you have to rush the kids off to work or something like that. Or you know that you have a few days off that you wanna make sure that you have a large breakfast where you make yourself a gourmet omelet and a side of fruit. I don't care. Make another one up there. But the idea is that it's composed of food that you like to eat or that you're not going to get bored with. So I know that's a lot of feedback that we get is like, I'm tired of eating eggs and bacon. Well, pick a different source of protein, pick a different veggie, pick a different fruit, pick a different fat, and make a small breakfast for yourself. That's it, okay? Once you have your 1 to 3 options there, you just kind of save them in a bank. You can make that for later. Same thing with lunches. I like to have at least 2 or 3 different lunch options, and that again is going to have some source of protein in it, a fruit or veggie, and maybe a fat. We're trying to get all of these in one meal each time, come up with 2 or 3 different options, and this is going to allow you to have a staple lunch, but then also allow you to kind of fall back if you need to have leftovers, something like that. So you don't have to come up with a huge menu. We're asking for 2 or 3 different options, and that's just going to spice up your variety while you're at work or you're at home or you're on the go, and pick a couple different options there. So some easy ones, maybe some ones that you really like or that you can kind of treat yourself with. Dinner, this one's gonna be a little more aggressive because some of us have other people that need to consume this food too. So this list might need to have a little bit more variety, but this is also one that easier ones to attain. So either going to allrecipes.com or crockpotcooking.com. I just made that up, but I'm sure it's there. And finding recipes that fit with the real foods that you're gonna be eating, right? Real protein, real veggies, real carbs, real fats, right? And you can also just kind of exclude some of those things that it put on a pizza. There's cauliflower rice pizza. There's a bunch of other random things too. So you can find substitutes for the things that you like. But if it's on this list of what you created before, feel free to eat it. It'll stick with that NoBread diet that you're, or NoBread lifestyle that you're trying to get. Snacks, these are going to be easier options kind of married together. So you could have something like peanut butter. That's it. You could have any type of snacks like cottage cheese and fruit is a good one, especially in the summertime. I like to freeze berries when it gets hot outside, and then as I eat them, you kind of have that crunch, but it also cools you down. Pro tips right there. But just come up with a list of different snacks that you like to do. These can be prepackaged stuff that you buy at the store for your kids if you know that you're going to be snacking. If you're going to be eating Halo Top or Enlightened ice cream at night, or Ben & Jerry's. I don't know how much food you want to eat. Right? But once you have this list of items, that's your NoBread menu, right? You can just eat that as much as you possibly want. You can eat everything on this list. It doesn't matter how much of what you eat, right? Especially if you're doing NoBread. All we're doing is trying to refine the quality of food that you're putting into your body and eliminating some of those processed foods and getting you to eat real food when the ingredients is just broccoli. There's no other ingredient in broccoli or chicken. It's just chicken, right? If you can't pronounce the ingredients on there, you probably shouldn't be eating it anyways. So how you make this a little bit more in depth or with macros. So now once you have your menu out here, it's going to be up to you to find out what the protein, fat, and carbohydrate content is for each one of those. Most of everything at the grocery store will have some type of barcode or search system. So going into MyFitnessPal and finding out what a serving of each one of these has. They have those little numbers up there, and now you get to put the pieces of the puzzle together. So if you're looking to get, let's say for me, I need 200 grams of protein in a day, I'm gonna make sure that I have I'm gonna have somewhere between like 30 and 50 grams of protein throughout through each meal, and that's gonna make sure that I get to my my protein goal for NoBread, and that's just gonna be tracking the protein. So I know how much protein's in my protein bar and jerky. So I know at breakfast I'm gonna start my day off with 35 grams of protein, right? At lunch, I'm gonna have so many ounces of chicken and then some type of like rice or broccoli or whatever. Same with dinner, and then my snacks are gonna include things that have copious amounts of peanut butter in them, and I always have like a protein shake at after my workout. So I know it's gonna give me another 20 grams of protein right there. So in reality, my real meals throughout the day, I just have to be able to squeeze in somewhere between like 100 and 120 grams of protein throughout 3 smaller meals throughout the day, which isn't that hard for me. So that's what makes macros a little bit challenging, is once you have all of your numbers, your protein, fat, and carbohydrates, is just trying to find that list of foods that kind of pair well together to make sure that you hit the appropriate amount of proteins, appropriate amount of fat, appropriate amount of carbs. I found it to be a fun little game to play if I knew that I had to add up to within 3 to 5 grams of each one of those, and that's based off of your personal stats anyways. So come up with a grocery list, using that grocery list to come up with your like 4 or 5 different meals, and then applying macros to it if you need to or you want to, or just keep eating that way for the rest of your life and get fit. Thanks all for all your help, Sarah. Don't shh.